Hey man, I just thought I'd go over the UVs real quick, how we're going to handle non-organic, so like hard surface stuff and wood. I'll just get straight into it. So basically you select the part that you want. If it has a lot of detail like this, you kind of want to decide what's together and what's not. So for instance, you want the door to be on its own, you want this to be on its own, etc. But if it's smaller parts like say the door handle or hinges, you're going to want to include that with say the door. But if it's like, say, this, you're going to want the pillars with it because that's kind of part of it. It's basically up to you. So basically, you select the piece. I'm going to treat the pillars separate just because of how big they are. Something this big needs a bit more detail, so it needs more room in the UVs. So we'll open up the UV editor. You can see that it's empty, so you have a few options. You can project based off a shape. So this one's a cylinder, this one's a sphere, this one's a flat surface. And you can also do camera. So I'll start with camera. And you can see that it's kind of weird shape. That's because it's literally taken the angle my camera's looking at it right here. I'll do it again just so you can see. Camera, see? You don't want that. And it also does it as a whole piece, okay? So that won't work. So to get around that, what you would probably do, what you do is like say, okay, I want to do the front first. So you'd select the front pieces. You'd have to go through and you'd have to select each of the pieces that you consider the front that's facing this direction. So, you know, this way, all right? And you'd basically select them all. I'll just do these for now. And then you would basically do your camera. And as you can see, it's only done those faces, all right? And that's what you want, but as you can see it's still kind of wonky, so you're like, all right, how do I fix that? So how you'd normally get around that is you'd find the camera that's perfectly aligned with the angle you want. So this one's front on, so you'd go create camera base, and as you can see it's now flush. But you can notice something going on here. It's actually not shaped well. It's just kind of like dragged it to the edge as far as it goes, and it's all out of shape. Normally what you'd do is you'd go in and you'd go to the settings of the tool that you're using, and you'd change it. You'd basically tell it to change that. But in Maya, I don't know about Blender, the camera angle doesn't have that option. So what you would do is you'd think of what the shape is. So, okay, for this case, it's just a flat surface. So I'll use the flat surface tool for the UV, open up its options, and you'd pick what's best for you. So in this case, I want front on, so you can either go, you check which direction, so you're down the bottom here, so I'll just quickly jump back in this mode. Okay, the face is here. If I look here on the bottom, I can see that it's Z direction, so Z is this way, Y is up, and X is obviously the other way. So I know which direction it's facing now, so you can basically pick Z. Let's make this bigger. Pick Z and hit apply. That's obviously just on the one face. So I select all the faces. You can actually select the faces in here, and it'll select them out here as well. Hit apply, and as you can see, it's matching the door width perfectly. So if you were to drag this over, it'd go over the top pretty much. So you can see this box here. This box is actually this whole grid. So this one grid here is this box. So that's what that is. As you see, you can see the top of this is sitting on flush with the grid up here. So like up here, and yeah, and so on. Right, so that's how that works. Another way to do it is when you're in the settings, so I'll just get back over here. Instead of doing the actual axis, you can just hit camera, because basically if you go into like free mode like this and you use the Z direction, it's still gonna keep it because it's taking the Z direction. But if you want to like use the camera, you physically have to be in a camera mode that's facing it flush on, so like that. And sorry, let me fix that up. So like that, and you hit apply, and see nothing changes. All right, so that's that. So that's that applies to all the tools. You have to open up the options. And so what this is this top part here is fit to projection. So what the projection is actually that box that appeared. You can actually choose it to pick the best settings that it thinks it is, but what ends up happening is it actually ends up outside of this square, and you don't want that because basically what will happen is, say you're using these two squares, when you put it into texturing software, it'll treat it as two separate materials, so two separate textures. So when you import it into Unreal Engine, you got to set up two separate materials for the one model. And when you click on the model itself, normally you can see a box that has a material slot, and you just basically assign the material you want, and it applies the texture. What happens in this case, it'll have two slots, so it will require two materials, and it'll basically take up memory and twice the amount of textures. You don't want that. You want basically this whole model, this whole part that you, let me highlight that for you. Basically, you want this whole thing and its faces to fit within this square, okay? Back to the faces. So basically what can happen, right, is if I'm still at the front here, as you can see. We're going to select these. Actually, I don't do that. I'll select the faces in here. So UV shell as face modes. I'll select these faces here. And if you look here and say keep height ratio, basically like that, basically that's telling it to keep the shape of the model. If you turn that off or it's not on in the first place, you end up with that first problem with the camera mode where it's all out of shape. And now what happens when this is out of shape is because it doesn't match this model, when I apply a texture to it, this will actually be squished. It needs to match the face as best as possible, and hard surface, that's super easy to do. It's pretty much that. Alright, so let's jump into the last part. So basically, because this is wood, it depends what material, what it's made of. Because this is wood, we're going to have to treat each face separately, opposed to like selecting the whole thing and just doing it all. And what I mean by doing it all is, for instance, see how this has all these faces? I would actually just do the whole lot. So all of these, all the way down in one direction, obviously excluding these inner parts. These inner parts facing not forward, so you can't see it. But if you go to the side, you can see it. All the, basically the front here. Let me see if I can. No, I don't think I can. Basically, you want all the front-facing ones like this. What you don't want is the inner ones facing the opposite direction. So if I go that and just select the face. Basically, I don't want the ones facing this direction. I want the ones facing this direction, right? The direction that's looking at the camera. So I would select all the faces. If this wasn't wood, say this was stone and one whole thing, because stone is generally one whole piece, I would select all of the faces on the front. So all of these, for instance, I'll just highlight it so it looks like it. So all these front faces, and I would basically do it as one whole piece opposed to wood. So if it was wood, I'd have to look at these as individual parts. So for instance, this whole thing here, that would be one piece. This section here would be one face. So like for wood, essentially, wood has like cuts like this up here. So like for instance, this line here and this line here. This top piece would be one plank, and if you were to build it, it'd be one plank pasted on another plank, and the wood grains wouldn't be this like one direction. So like say you're using this left side piece here, the wood grains would be going up, but they wouldn't be going up for this one. They'd be going across. So it'd be like in the direction they're facing, because if you did this as one whole piece and textured it, all the wood grains would go up and it would look weird up here. And that's why you got to like take into account what it's made of. So yeah, for wood, how I treat woods is like as planks. So think of this as a plank of wood. Obviously the biggest, flattest part is one whole piece in one direction. And the side parts, so obviously your front and those, so these, are treated as individuals, so each direction. So you'd select that and you'd do that face like that, and you'd do that face like that, okay? Let's just do this one now. So for instance, I want this top part to be connected to here. So I want this to go the whole way around. So let's get into the UV tool. Oh. Alright, so let's generate the face. Okay. Sorry. I've just confused myself. So basically, that's how that works. So in our case, we want this done as fast as possible. So we're just going to go automatic. And it's going to like take a guess at what each of these parts are. And as you can see on the right here, it's made its own cuts and stuff and so on. It can not be perfect. So like for instance, you might get a cut up here and it might have a cut here and it's connected via this. So it might be like something weird like that. So basically you got to start from the top of the piece that you want. And as you can see here, like that's not how I want it. I want this to extend downwards. So how I'd go about that is I would have to select the whole way around. Symmetry also works here. So after you selected the whole way round edge, you're going to want to use the cut and sew tool. So like what sewing will do is it'll bring the pieces together without moving it. That's bad. As you can see here, see it's completely fucked it. But stitching moves the lower poly piece to the higher poly piece. So boom. If you look down here, let me go back. See, it's vanished. Cut and sew. Sew. Didn't reverse that time. Yeah, sew. Oh, not sew, sorry. Stitch together. And so it's stitched. And now you can have a look here, right? You can be like, okay, so it's got a line here. So basically what that is it's this. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, so this is down the bottom here. See, and it's also got a cut here on the edge, and you're like, I kind of don't want that. Why is it doing that? Okay, so basically, as you can see, if I select this face, it selected this face, and you're like, oh, that's odd. I don't actually want this to be a part of that. I want this to be its own separate face, and I wanted to bring the line down. So what you'd have to do is you'd have to select the line underneath it where you wanted it cut, and you'd cut it. Now that it's got this cut, you make sure it matches on the opposite side as well. Let me just close this real quick. Oh shit. Sucks, you gotta have this open in order to use it in Maya. Let's just shrink this up. Alright, as you can see, this is on the bottom, so I don't want that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna cut. And you're like, okay, there's all this crap going on, just ignore it for now. The part that you don't want anymore, you want to select the edge that's all connected. As you can see on the model, it's this bit here. You want to stitch together to move it to the face underneath here. Oh, sorry, to move this edge away from the part that I want. So see, as you can see, it's vanished. See, it's moved it. Get out of here. Don't want that. We're getting a bit closer to what we want now. So it is technically the face that we want now, like that. So this is technically correct on the sides now. These are good to go. Obviously, just a minor tweak. But if you look closer here, these are not as they should be. They're cut, and they're cut here. So what will happen is just you can actually separate this. See, and you don't want that. You want it to be as one whole piece, because when you texture it, it's going to be connected opposed to being cut apart. So I'd have to go around and make sure I stitch these together. And because they're so close together, you can get away with just a sew. I don't think stitch will work anyway. No, it won't. Stitch only works if the faces are completely separated from each other, okay? And it will try to keep them, they'll try to match each other's size and move them without stretching it. That's what that does. But if it's a piece that's already a whole single piece, you sew. So now you can see it's sewed. And you basically go around and you basically sew the pieces. Depending on what the piece is, you can get lazy and you can just select it. So you can see that the face is selected, and it has selected where I want it to be connected. And you can actually go back into your UVs and do a little cheeky. So we're like, all right, I want this piece to be redone, resized to match these sewn parts, because I know when I sew it, it's not going to be 100% match. You can actually go through and just select the above view camera and actually go back in and recreate from a camera based angle, or you can select the Y axis and redo it. And now that it's been redone, it's doing it from above, so we can go back and double check it. And as you can see now, although those lines that I was going to sew are gone, and the model's actually straight now. There's no like weird little bends in it, like where it's trying to like straighten it. Oh, it's one whole piece now. Now that the top piece is done, we're going to treat this as number one. I'm going to select the edge where it ends and the direction I want. So this is the front of the door, so the door handle's on the right. This is the front of the door, and the front is this direction. So I'm going to select the edge facing the front and see if it matches in the UVs, which it does. It's going this direction. And how to tell is because this UV was taken from the top. So this is the top. If I go into vertex mode and we can look at the vertices, we can actually highlight them as well and see, oh, okay, so yep, this is the direction. And if I was looking at them from above, like that, okay, it matches. So this matches that. It's down here and it's facing this direction. This is correct. So now that that's done, I'll move this over here and we'll move on to the next part. So what the next part is these faces, so the front and sides, and this is the whole way around. All right, so we go the whole way around, and because it's just a simple face, we can let me rephrase. I'm going to show you UV flipping. So basically, we can hit the sides that are facing the direction we want. So for instance, I want this, I want to keep going with the front. So I'm going to select the front and I'm going to select the back, right? So we've got a front and back, and like, all right, cool. So all we got to do is just go into a front view like this and go, all right, let's do what we did before. Bang, perfect. These are now, what is this doing? Oh, okay, sorry, my bad. Wait a minute. Let me rethink. Yeah, this is the front. Why is it doing that? My bad, I'm gonna have to do this again, so I'm gonna delete that. Select the, sorry, we'll do this again. So we're gonna select the face, and we're gonna select the face of the front and back. Yep, that's the doors, front and back. We're going to go to the front view. Yep, I can see it. Create. Let's just double check I haven't done a setting wrong. Oh no, camera. So that's right. I must have picked the wrong thing. So flat. Yeah. And as you can see, Maya likes to select extra faces. Let's try that again. Third time a charm. Front and back of the model. Create to match. Yep. Something weird's going on with this. Let me try that one last time. So that's flat surface. Let's just try it from the Z angle. Let's see if that fixes it. That is so bizarre. Why is it doing that? I'm going to reset the tool. Bounding box. Yep. I want it on camera. Yep. I want to keep the height ratio. Yep. Apply. There we go. I think the tool broke. Alright, so as you can see, it's done this face for me. The front and back, like I wanted. So now if we actually go have a look at it and we select this one and we move it up, you'll notice that one is red and one is blue. So basically blue means this is good, right? This one's, there's nothing wrong with this one. It's this face here. For some reason, it treated the back. Doesn't matter. Anyway, we've gotten both of these. This one's apparently right, and this one isn't. And why isn't this one right? Because this is called a flipped UV, and what a flipped UV is essentially, let's see if I can show it on this. So think of this face as one single piece, and this is the front, right? What a flipped UV is actually, it's rotated 90 degrees, and it's actually showing the back of the UV itself. So it's actually showing the back of this face. What am I doing? Okay, so yeah, so how to fix that is because it's showing it from the inside. And basically when that happens, so yeah, see how it's like here? It's basically showing this side as this UV here. And how to fix that is normally you'd go in and you'd find your transform tool in the UVs, so whatever blender is. So like in mine, I've got a menu here. So you'd go in and you'd want to flip the UV either horizontally or vertically. Now keep in mind, I want you to pay attention to this. So if I select this edge and I look at the model, right? So this looks like it's on the left side of the front. So if I select this and I flip the UVs to fix them, is this vertical? Is this one? I think this one's horizontal. Anyway, and flip it, you're like, oh sweet, it's all fixed. What will happen is, if you notice, oh, it didn't do it that time. It's flipped it. So normally what can happen is this side can flip over to the opposite side. But let's emulate it with up and down, because I know that works. So as you can see, let's rotate this as an example. So say it's generated the UV. This is upside down, right? Oh, yeah, this is upside down. So as you can see, the top's like that. Say this is red. We'll flip vertical. So if we flip it, it's red. Now if we select the top, it's now on the bottom. And if I go back here, flip, if I select the top is now on the top. Oh shit, I broke that. Yeah, so when you flip it, flip the UVs, it can actually flip this. So just keep that in mind. So once you've, it's red and you've fixed it, just recheck where the top is, because obviously you want this thing to match parallel to this. Okay, so you're like, all right, so now I've done the front and back. All right, those are correct. I'm gonna hit the sides now. Let's move this over. Hit the sides. We're gonna have to get an angle that does the sides. It's this one. So let's do that. I'm just gonna use the camera. As you can see, it's done the sides. These will be different sizes, but they will be different sizes in this aspect. See what I mean? Instead of being different sizes in this aspect. Right, that's what you don't want. It's fine if it's even if that's what I meant. All right, so now you can see that these ones doing the same thing, because obviously I took a photo from like one of the fronts and it's projected to the back. So like say this was the front one. Let me see if I can find it. So this is the front one. I'm looking at it from the front. I've taken the photo and the photo's gone through this to the other side and hit the back one. The back one's on the opposite side, but it's actually taken a picture of the back, not this side, if that makes sense. And that's because of where the camera was looking. So basically we're gonna go back through. We're just gonna flip it. All right, this looks all right. Now let's check the top. See, it's broken. So that's the bottom. Oh, not broken. It's the wrong direction. So let's flip it like that. Double check. Yep. We'll check the side. Yep, that's correct, and that's correct, and that's done. All right, so we'll bring that down. So that's another section done. This one will be a bit easier. So basically you just select it like the top one, because this is the bottom now. You can see down here it's one big piece like that. we want to hit it from the top. Obviously, it's gonna show up red because we're hitting it from behind, technically from above instead of under. That's just the restrictions of the camera, but that's fine. So I'll do that. As you can see, it's red. So let's go back into our normal mode. Another cool thing is in Maya, Blender should do it as well. It'll highlight everything in blue that's fine and everything in red that's wrong. So you'll be able to actually physically see it on the model. So basically what's happening is this is the angle we want to be seeing it from underneath, but we're actually seeing it from behind, so we've got to fix it. So hit that. I want to hit it, yeah, I'll just flip it horizontally. Okay, so now it's blue now. So we'll check where the front of the door is. That's the front, so right hand doorknob. I forgot where it is. There it is. I want this front edge to be facing the direction I want, so that's this top one here. So what I'll have to do is select the whole thing and rotate it like so. Yep, let's put that down there. That's the next one done. And then we'll move on to this next one here. And as you can see here, this is one whole face. So you basically got to decide how you want to approach this. Do you want another singular face, or do you want this as one whole piece? So looking at it, you're like, all right, so the only part that makes sense is this top part. So this would be one whole piece technically. All right, so, and that's all been broken up into the directions I need. So, you know, wood grain on the top because that's the wider surface, and wood grain depending on direction facing for the sides. Yeah, that's cool. One direction for the top as well. Sorry, the bottom. So that's perfect. But this looks like it's one whole piece. Like this whole thing looks like one piece like that. I think I like that like this. In some cases you might get from automatic, it might put like for example, a cut here like that, and it'll be treated as a separate piece like that. You're like, nah, I don't like that. I want this to be one whole thing and one whole texture. So you basically, you know, stitch and sew it as you want. So let's have a look here. Okay, if this was deformed, I would do the, you know, the side angle thing, but this looks like it's auto perfectly, to be honest. So we just need to rotate it. This is pretty obvious which direction this is supposed to be because of its shape. We can double check though. So yeah, that's definitely the top. This one is exactly the same, so we'll just do that. And again, you want them basically the correct way up, so it's sitting, so from the side it's got this top part up here, so yep, that's right. These are done. Let's move on. Move these down here. They can be anywhere for now, all right? So then we're going to move on to the next one. We got another top piece here, but if you have a look at it, this is not going with the theme that we've been following from the top. We want the bottom and the tops to go down one notch. So I'll just quickly do this. I'll select the whole edge around the whole model. I'll stitch first, just in case, so it'll move it to it. I was right here. See, as you can see, there's a whole bunch selected. I want them to fit and be all uniform, so that's all good. That looks like that worked. And then I want to have these faces separated, so I'll select the edge under it that I want to cut. I'll cut that. And now if I go back in and I select this, oh yep, that's exactly how I want it. I want this to be one piece. You can either sew this like I said, but it'll be rough shaped, or you can just go back into your camera mode and you can take another photo, go back into your thing view mode. This looks like it's actually got no issues, but we're going to double check anyway. Actually it won't have issues because we took a photo from the top like that and the actual piece is facing upwards. It doesn't take into account model or anything in front of it, so that's fine, just as long as it's facing the direction it's supposed to be. So that looks good. Let's have a look here. Where's the front? That's the front, so we're going to rotate that around. Whoops. I'm just doing snapping. So this one's fine, so that's done. We're going to do the same thing for these. but we can just ignore the middle part and just go straight for the bottom. Obviously following the theme, we want a lip over. Same with the bottom, we want a lip over, so we're going to select the edge here. Going to cut, and I'm going to select the edge underneath, and then I'm going to stitch. So stitch is moving the UVs again. And then I'm going to go back into UV shell, which is UV face mode. And I'm just going to double check. So that's the front. That's the back. Let's go into front mode. Let's create based on the camera. Move that up here. Go back into look around mode. So we're going to fix this again. The only reason I'm doing it this way, it seems a bit tedious, is because it keeps the shape of everything and does it all at once, and all I have to do is do a quick click. So that's the front. That's the front one. So I'm going to flip it. I'm going to check which is the top. In this case, the top and the top match, which is fine. So this is the front that I took a picture from. That's the right side. Yep, and that's the right side. So now let's check the other side. So I'm going to select the top. Yep. From the back, looking at it from the back, yep, that's the top. The right side from the back, yep, that's correct. So these are perfectly fine, nice and easy. Now let's just have a look what we did here. Because we're stitching all this up, that's the one I did before, so that's fine. We did the middle, so now let's see, we've got this this bottom one here. This is technically fine, actually. There isn't an issue with it. So I guess you could just leave it as is and try and scale it up. But what you want to do is you want to kind of keep it the same as these ones, like their original sizes. So like, for instance, when I go to like auto arrange these, it's going to try and keep the shapes similar to the original, but only shrink them. So if this is actually smaller than the original, it's going to keep treat it as this is the original, and it'll basically, like, for instance, it'll basically do this. It won't match the other pieces of the same size because the UVs are different. So what I'm going to do is, was that from the bottom? Double check. Yeah, that's from the bottom, so I'm just going to hit it from the top angle here. Camera angle, bang. Going to go back into look mode. As you can see, this one will definitely be red because I'm hitting it from behind. That's what she said. We're just going to give it a little flip. It's definitely fixed. Let's just check the front. So that's the front. So basically what I want to do is I want to rotate it this way, because we took a photo of it basically from above, like this this angle, so the front is on the left side, and that's the case here. Just let me double check. Edge, yep, so that's the front, and as you can see, it's actually the same size as this other one. See now, so we've done the top, we've done the bottom here, we've done all the sides, we've done this one piece. We'll have to fix this bit here by doing this. Let's just stitch together. We'll have to fix this up anyway. See how this is separate? It didn't fix it for some reason, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go bang and bang. Right, to match this side from the front, so we'll go from the front. We'll camera angle this. Yeah, so that's actually correct. There won't be any issues with this one, but there will be issues with the back one. Do that again. It's good because we're finding problems. Bang. Yep, see, it's red as shit. And it even shows it on the model. All right. So let's fix that. We'll flip it. Make sure, obviously it's got a unique shape to it. So we can see that the bigger parts at the top, this is actually right. And if we select that, that's actually right. Now we just need to check if so basically we're looking at it from behind now. We want to make sure the left is the left. Yep, that's actually correct. We don't actually have to do anything. So yeah, just keep checking that and you won't run into any issues flipping your UVs. Alright, so basically, so you can't go into face mode here and expect it to work here. You actually have to go into the UV editor in Blender, and it'll let you select the faces of the UVs in here and here once you've done it in here. So if you look here, see I can select the faces. So it goes all the way around now. So yep, yep, and yep. And if you wanted to, you could actually treat this as one single piece going all the way around, but actually I might, let me think. Okay, so basically what will happen, right, is if I make this as a whole piece and go all the way around, it's either going to go two ways. It's either going to be really long, it's going to treat this as one long thing, or it's going to do this. Now, if it does this, I'm going to have to find places to cut it along here so it spreads out evenly, but it's going to be wonky. Let me give you an example. Let's go that. Let's go that. This is just an example. So we're going to, oh shit, that and that. Let's just make sure it's on both sides actually. Let's just, so, actually, sorry, not so, stitch. So now let's have a look. So this is where unfolding actually comes into it. This is how you'd normally unfold something. So you can see that there's no cut here now. It still treats it as one whole piece, and in theory the UV it isn't technically changed too much. It looks a bit wonky there, but that's because it's trying to figure it out. So what unfolding does is it does its best to like flatten out the faces here with where your cuts are. So if we go unfold, once it's done loading. Where are you? As you can see here, it's tried its best to flatten it, and it hasn't done actually a bad job. But as you can see here, when you apply the texture, there's going to be this gap here. So like say you've got one direction, you'll see an issue where the parts where it's joined will be seamless, and then the parts that aren't, the textures won't look right. So that's why you got to decide, like, oh, do I want this as one piece or separate? And that's why I separated these faces like that, because it's just too hard to go the whole way around, essentially, opposed to just having a flat surface on the top. So the top's way easier, but the second you start going in a circle, you got to think if it's even possible, which generally it isn't, but that's how wood is anyway. Another thing is with Substance Painter, even if you wanted to do this as a single thing, it will try its best to connect these. Like say, for instance, this is cut and this is separate. If I select both these faces in the texturing software and apply the same material, it will try to like make this seamless on its own, regardless of where the UVs are, and it generally works. So you don't have to worry too much about that, especially if it's something like, you know, cement and you need it to look seamless. That'll be fine. So now that we've done that, we've done this. So basically we've done top, middle, bottom. We've done a unique angle, yeah, top, middle, bottom. Again, this is just faces, that's fine. This is fine. Like I said, you're best off you know, selecting the front and back and doing them just so all the sizes are correct. And moving down to this one, again, taking a camera shot from the top, pretty much what we've been doing this whole time. And then we'll hit something like this. This is on the side. And see how it's two separate textures here? Oh no, it isn't. I must have selected the wrong one. So like, that's perfectly fine. So yeah, we've essentially done the whole way around. Well, not the whole way around in the video, but let me select this the whole way around for like this top part and side. We'll quickly do this front bit. So if we, for instance, we need a I'm just lazy. Let's just for now. So basically what we could do, right, is we could just select, you know, the front like that. And we can go through and we're like, yeah, no, we're not using that. No, you're not touching this, you're not touching this, you're not touching any of this, or this, or this, or that, or that. Oh, wait. Let's go back. Y. So everything's selected. We'll go UV shell. Because it's automatic, sorry. I was doing that the hard way. So yeah, we'll go to the UV shell. Looks like this whole piece is already done for us, which is sick, but we'll just double check. And as you can see here, this is wrong. See, look, it doesn't match. So same thing applies. So we'll select the edge where we want it cut. Same thing applies. We want a lip, so we will cut there. Just we'll do it on the opposite side as well. We'll cut there, and then we'll select this side, stitch it, select this side, stitch it. Alright, so it should technically be separated, so we'll just double check. So yep, that's one piece, that's what I wanted. That's one piece, yep, that's what I wanted. It's even, that's one piece, yep, that's one piece. So here I could do one piece flush on, but as you can see there's like a line here, and it's kind of like a waste of a cut because it'll show up the line here and we might as well take advantage of it. So one way to do that is you just select the whole edge like that. And the whole edge like that. And let's just double check it's on both sides. Yep. Yep. We want to cut that. So it's now treated as a separate piece. Yep. See, so that's the front. These are the sides. Yep, this looks all good to me. And then I got to decide if I want this to loop around, in which case I actually do. So do I want it to match? Oh no, actually no, I kind of like having it flush like that. This can be entirely up to you where you want it to kind of curve. So like say if you're looking at it flush on, you'll be able to see the wood being a bit different on the connection here. If it looks like crap, we just basically have to go back in to this model, add the new cut, make sure it's all good, save it, and export it, export it and re-import it into the texture software and redo it. It sounds like a lot, but it's just like a quick, 1 minute thing. Actually, I thought that was a good idea. I kind of prefer it if it was like that and like that, but I don't want these top parts selected at all. Let's select symmetry, just make sure it's working. Yep. I want this cut, and I want this fixed. So let's select everything. I'll go stitch. So that looks like it's okay. It looks like there's no issues. Yep, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. Yep, so let's select. So, alright, so now these look good to me. So let's turn symmetry off. So let's go front and back. We want to go into that front view, create camera based for this one. I'll go back into the looking glass. Move this up here. These are overlapping. Oh, did it only do the one? Oh no, it's selecting both. Retarded. Alright, so let me check. So this is the rear. Okay, so this is the front. So that's the front, okay. So let's fix that. Let's flip it. Double check. Obviously that's the top, we can tell. But is this the right side from the front? Yep. And then let's check the back. You want the right side from the back. Yep, that's matching as well. So this is good. We want to hit these and that. Alright, so that's... Oh wait, is it symmetry still in? Oh no. Oh yeah, we want to hit that and that. Oh wait, what am I doing? I'm on crack. Front and back. Because if you select them all, it'll treat it as what do you call it? Actually, let's try. What I'm thinking it would do is treat these as together and stitch them together. But I think it might only apply to faces that are part of the same face, if that makes sense. Okay, so where's the front? That's the front. Oh, it's actually projecting from the rear. That's interesting. I think the model's backwards, but whatever. So that's why that was a bit weird. But it still applies, even if I did it from the front. I'd have to adjust the rear anyway, opposed to the front. Alright, so I'm going to hit it from that angle. Alright, so let's get these two red ones, because I can clearly see these sides are red, so we'll select those. And we'll move those over. And you can flip these actually at the same time. You can actually select multiple faces and do them all at once. That's not a problem. So that's from treating it from this side. It looks like this is actually fine. Yeah, it looks that way. Yeah, this looks all fine. So those are perfect. What's it? UV show. Front and front. Yep. These actually there'll be no issues with these ones either. Yep. 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 That's all right. What about these? The sides here. UV show. Yeah, these are really tiny, so let's hit these. We'll hit them from the side. Create. And as you can see here, these match up. Alright, so I'm going to treat this as the right side. Oh, it is the right side to do. Let's flip it. And so we're facing it from this side. This is the right side. So we want this right edge to be on the right. Yep, that's correct. That on the left, yep. Is the top good too? Yep, that's correct. Let's double check the other side. Is that the top? Yep. And is that the left? Yep. Okay, that's good too. Alright, so let's select that again. So let's have a look. I think this actually might be mostly done. Face mode. Yep, that's done. Top's done. These are the sides. These are the front and back. I don't like that these are different shaped. I don't know why it's doing that. So I'm going to redo those just in case. I just got a bad feeling. Because it doesn't make sense. Fuck, why is it doing that? Are these thinner? They're not. Okay, So what, I don't know why it's not matching up. Let's see what happens if we automatic it. It still does it. Alright, so there's a way around this. This doesn't normally happen, by the way. I don't know why the hell it's doing that. So you can basically overlap them, select them both. Actually, actually select the one that you want to match to. Make sure that's snapped as well. Then select them both, overlay it, and you're just going to have to manually do your best. Obviously, you can snap vertices and shit. And that's good enough. That won't affect the model in any way. And now these are all like similar, so that's perfectly fine. So another thing you could do is you can actually snap the vertices like you would, like that. But yeah, these all look pretty close, and that's okay for something like this because people aren't going to notice like a millimeter of a millimeter of a millimeter and difference in size there. All right, so those are good. Let's have a look here. No, those are right. I didn't do the sides here. So let's hit these. Hit these from the side. That's what she said. So these are big. Yeah. Move that. Fucking hell. Oh. Is symmetry on? I don't think it is. Did I not do the other side? What is going on? Or are these treated as an individual? Let's just do it again. Why is it doing that? That is so weird. Unless it's oh, what the heck? Why is it doing that? All right, let's just undo all this. All right, something funky's going on. I see it selected that. See what I mean? Maya likes to fucking fuck with me. See, I don't know what's selecting that. See what happened there? It selected that as well. So basically, sometimes with Maya, when I click a face, if there's a face behind it, it might select that too. I think it's got something to do with the camera distance. I think that's just a bug. So just ignore that. Everything is fine. So let's go from the side, create. Yeah, there we go. That's all better. Let's flip that around. Let's UV flip. And we're just going to make sure the sides. Yep. So right. Right and right. Yep. Cool. That's all good. All right. So top's done, middle's done, bottom's done, side is done. Yeah, these we did before. Yeah. I believe we haven't done these yet. No, see, these are like hell wrong. Look at the size of that. Let's turn symmetry on, X. And let's see what happens when... So by the looks of it, we can select multiple faces as long as they're not together as part of the same UV and redo them. What's that? Turn symmetry off. Go back into this view. This little bit of cheeky cheek. Yeah. flip this. Let's make sure the top's the top. Yep, that's right. And the right's the right, yep. Top's the top, bottom's bottom, right's the right, left's the left, yep. So these are fine. I don't think you need me to explain the rest of it. It's the same shit the whole way down. So basically, we'll just, actually I might save this because I'm actually doing better. Alright, so basically what you would do now is you'd select all the UVs and you would, including these ones once you'd done them, and you'd automatically lay them out. So I'll show you the settings, but you basically input some settings and it'll shrink everything to fit within this grid, because anything outside this grid will be counted as a brand new texture and material, and you don't want that. You want all the UVs within the same grid as much as possible, and you want the most biggest items, so like this huge fence paling and stuff like that, you want them to be the bigger UVs. Like same with this up here, see it's kind of like the bigger thing, and same with like the front of this, because this is so large, you want the UV to be rather large as well. So when you select them all and you lay it out like that, it'll shrink them down while keeping all their relevant sizes to each other. So like these are technically correct in terms of size to everything else, okay? So when we texture it, it'll all be even. You won't have parts that have like bigger wood marks and stuff like that, okay? One thing you can't do is you can't overlap UVs like this. Unreal Engine won't know what to do with the lighting and break. Same with the texturing software, because you can generate height maps and shit, it won't know what to do, and so on. So yeah, we've basically chosen the parts we want to break up as planks. We've treated huge flat surfaces as single surfaces, and we've treated the front and sides as individual faces, and any unique parts like this as single pieces. And any long things, basically like this, like the front and back like that, you just kind of want to picture it if you're seeing it in real life. You're like, okay, would that stick over like that? Nah, probably not so much. This will be on the wall anyway, so we're going to want this as one piece, and we're going to hide this part here, so it doesn't really matter what this looks like, if you get what I mean. So if I actually go into modify, and I'll show you the loadout thing again. So basically, you can actually tell it what resolution you want to do. This is all in Blender as well. You just need to find out the Blender, what they call everything. You can dictate the texture map size. So I do 2K. The shell padding and the tile padding, what this is actually the gaps. See this gap here is actually the gap in between each of the UVs. You can actually make it shorter by lowering these. I don't know what UV here does, but all I know is pixels is how many pixels, so this is 3 pixels apart. The tile U here, as you can see, 1 and 1. So what it means by that is, also again with Blender, 1 and 1 is like literally 1 squared by 1 squared. It's treated as squared, so this is 1 across and 1 down, symmetry, so a full square. So if I bump this up to 2, it'll go 2 up, 2 across squared, so it'll be this big. If I bump it up again, it'll be 3 by 3, so it'll go 3 and 3. So it kind of goes up in 2s. If the model is like, how do I explain it? Say you've got like a super detailed piece, say like a huge piece like this, and there's just so much like intricate stuff going on, like you've got like little baubles and all sorts of other crap on it, and it's actually part of this actual mesh, it's not like a separate thing, and you just do not have the room on here. It's okay then to like have a separate UV tile for those things. That's when it's sort of okay to like break it up. It just depends how detailed something is, and because these are just flat surfaces without a lot of like super detail in terms of geometry, it's better to have them a bit smaller in a single tile opposed to larger and multiple tiles, because it's just a waste of memory. Like the memory hit from the texture would probably be more from the model itself, if that makes sense. So like if the model, yeah, you get what I mean. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. And yeah, you just go through and you got to basically decide what's together. in a tile. So like for instance, I'll probably do the door in this. You can see that the doorknob's already here, but I'll want to include that doorknob as part of the textures for this. So like I'll just quickly do an automatic. So do that. I'll do an automatic again. So as you can see, it's treated it as its own thing. But what we'll end up doing is actually selecting both. They're overlapping. We don't want that. Just say you've done all the UVing for both. You want to select both, and you want to lay them out. And as you can see, it didn't work. And you're like, okay, why's that? So basically, when you start coming across things like this, you're gonna wanna merge them, like if you know that's the correct spot. But in this case, let's have a think. And if you don't want to merge them, we will select one. I'll select the other. All right. So for instance, we want this to be a lot smaller. We could probably just cram that up in the corner there. We'll select the door. We'll just make that a bit smaller. Like it's not a big deal. See, like something like that's perfectly fine. What's another thing? We can let's add a bit more detail with these. We can select this stuff. I don't know why it's doing that, but that's an example. Like we've got the room, so you might as well just, why not? If you've got the room, yeah, make them bigger, absolutely. Even if they're tiny, it's just extra detail if it's bigger. So if you've got the space, like for instance, like all this. So let's go back and just double check. Is any of this overlapping? You're like, all right, I can just fucking move this here. Make this a bit bigger. Let's select the smaller stuff. You want to kind of try and get it all together. Example. So this, all that. I say, like, you can see that the automatic's not 100%, so you'd have to go through and fix that. So we'll try to like keep these together as possible, because when we resize them, it'll go from the center. So we'll just do this. Again, we just want to pay attention to where the UVs are. Yeah, and so on. You just basically do that and you lay it out. You'd only do it this way if you wanted to keep the doorknobs separate and have like changeable doorknobs. But if you weren't to do it like that, let's say we combined it and now it's treated as a single mesh, we can actually physically grab all the UVs and lay them out. Oh shit, one sec, I'll be right back. Sorry, I thought I had a stove on. Wait, so yeah, see what it did there? So, yeah. Obviously you want the sizes correct and do what we did and you go through, but you get the idea. So you see it's pretty much kept them all together and relevant. And then like, for example, if you're like, all right, actually I don't want this together now, but I like the UV layout, you can just go back through and actually just separate it back to what it was originally. See, look, see now the UVs are separate. Like so. Yeah.